In electric circuits, we work with a lot of different quantities, so it's important that we have the units in order to speak about these quantities. So of course we're going to use the metric system, the International System of Units, also known as SI. And so I figure you already know about the basic ones of meters and kilograms and seconds and so on. But there's a few here which you may not be extremely well familiar with. So we already spoke briefly about the coulomb. So the coulomb is a measure of charge. Measure of charge. The joule, hopefully you've come across this. The joule is a measure of energy. Measure of energy. The watt is a measure of power, so measure of power. So power is the rate at which energy is applied, and we're going to speak more about energy and power in a later video. There's also the amp, which is a measure of electric current. Measure of electric current. The volt, which is the measure of electric potential. Measure of electric potential. And again, we will speak about current and voltage in a subsequent video. And also the ohm, which is a measure of resistance, electrical resistance. So by the way, this symbol here is a capital Greek letter omega. So just in case you have not come across this before, it's the Greek letter omega. So it's worth just practicing drawing these symbols, because you're going to need to use them quite a bit in this subject. And there's a couple of other units which we're going to come across later on in the semester. So that's the farad and the Henry. So these are measuring capacitance and inductance respectively. But those are topics that we will leave for a later time. Now, one thing that you need to be very familiar with are the SI prefixes, because in electric circuits we tend to work with parameters that span many orders of magnitude in size. So here's the full list of SI prefixes. The ones that you absolutely must know for this subject. These are the ones that you need to have memorized. I would say would be mega as a prefix meaning 10 to the 6, kilo 10 to the 3, you surely already know that one. Milli 10 to the minus 3, again you surely already know this. Micro 10 to the minus 6. This letter here, mu, this is the Greek letter mu, Greek letter mu, mu. So again, you need to make sure that you're familiar with that and you know how to draw that that symbol, and you recognize it as the SI prefix for micro, 10 to the minus 6. Sometimes when people type, they just use the plain letter U. So you see, for instance, UM for micrometers. So this is kind of sloppy and incorrect. So kind of please don't do this. You should have the proper Greek letter mu when you use this SI prefix. You will also need to know Nano and Heco. So these are common, for example, for the sizes of capacitors, which is a type of electrical component we will talk about later on. So these ones here, you absolutely need to make sure you know these, kind of very reliably, straight from the top of your head, that if someone says, that you've got 10 nanofarad capacitor, you know immediately that that's 10 times 10 to the minus 9, so that you can remember nano 10 to the minus 9 and make that link. So if you think you might be a little bit rusty at remembering these, then make yourselves these little flashcards. So get like a piece of paper and cut it up and write nano on one side, and then on the other side of that piece of paper put the put the size 10 to the minus 9 and just like do a little sort of memory exercise flipping back and forwards to make sure that you can remember these, because it's very, very important for this subject.